Well, once again, it's time, my friends, for another meet and greet. We're Southern Fried and nationwide, so hang on to your seat. Look around, here's what I found. I guess you'll never know what you'll see on the Southern Fried Podcast Show. Yeehaw!
And good evening. Hello, everyone. Hope all are having a great evening on this Tuesday as we work our way down to Election Day. Well, we'll talk about a few things as we have our Southern Talk. We're going to look at the state of Kentucky, but before that, I want to talk about elections a little bit. Obviously, that's the news of the day. And today I worked and helped with early voting in my state and my county. And let me tell you, it was really busy. I think it might have been even a little bit slower. Well, that's not a word I would use for today. They said they had even seen it busier. We're getting down to 7 days left, and everything went fine. Voters were very active all afternoon. I did the afternoon shift. I will go back. I'm going to do a morning shift on Thursday and help open the polls. So here in the state of Georgia, one of the things that has been changed is the counting of the ballots after each day, and we're used to that on election day or at the end of early voting, but now they're doing that. Hello, Lewis. We're doing that at the end of every day in Georgia, and so I haven't done early voting until today, so I had opportunity to take part in that. Just wanted to be a help and a resource. Didn't want to get in their way because they had a little routine down, but I ended up helping and yes, helping to count ballots and put them in orders to make sure those numbers matched. They did. We had two scanners and we counted those votes up, and then they were all sealed. We and another great thing in our county. I don't know if this is the way across the state, but in our county, armed officer there all day long, and I had an opportunity to interact. There were a lot of officers that came in and voted who were still in uniform and had their service revolvers and everything on. It makes me feel good, and everybody commented about it. Even this many days in, some of them were kind of new to voting. One lady had only it's her third day not voting, but being a poll worker, and she was very. They were all very comforted by the presence of the officer, so we had a chance to talk with them a little bit. But at the end of the night, those ballots were then being escorted by law enforcement and election officials. So in the evening there. So I got out about 5:40 and got home and started, ate dinner and different things like that. So just wanted to share a few things about that. Very busy. The electorate is turning out, and that is great news. I love that. I hope it's that way across the United States. Of course, I've heard is different numbers for the United States of how many millions have voted already. I did ask and found out that we had already went over 50% of the eligible voters in the county that I'm in have voted already in my county. So that is great news that there is still the 3 days left this week and then election day, of course. And so there was never a gap of time where people were not voting. That was just great. And I've worked some election days. I've never been as busy constantly as it was today. And I was tired. I'll just be honest with you. Everything went fine, no problems, nobody, no issues or anything. I think everybody, they got it down pat. There was, and I'll tell you what was encouraging today was the amount of young voters that I saw. This is the most I've ever seen. And in fact, there were some who had voted before. Was asking, is this your first time voting? I said, no, I voted before. But I did have some voters that told me this was their first time voting. I saw families coming together, husband, wife, two children, children very, very young. I don't know if it was their first, one of it was their first time to vote because you could tell, and they were celebrating as they should. And I had one young man. He told me, so I've never done this before. As you come in the door, so it's okay. He said, I just turned, old enough to vote, and this is my first time. I said, we got you, man. So the only thing with him, and it happened to a lot of, I say a lot, several, and again, I can only go by the reference of me being there. The reference of voters still need to educate themselves a little more. I was asked by two, including him and one other voter, about there were such, there's proposals or things they're voting on to turn into law, and I can't answer those questions. And uh, they weren't prepared for those. They pretty much voted down ticket, whatever party they were. But when they got to the questions, they were stumped a little bit. There's three of them on ours for the state of Georgia, and I remember the young man, bless his heart. I just said, you'll just have to either, if you could always close that out, and he didn't want to do that, cancel the ballot and go study a little more, but he wanted to continue. But he tried to ask me one more time. He said, what does the word proposed mean? So I'm like, I can't help you. I cannot talk to you in the voting booth, and I can't talk at all as I'm working in the precinct. We can't talk about those things. You have to be away from the precinct. He said, I understand, sir. And so a lesson learned for him, a lesson learned that he needs to educate himself a little more. And there's a lot I could have told him, just simple nuts and bolts of stuff, but not telling him how to vote if we weren't there. If he asked me, down the street or something, we could have. But he'll learn. And I bet there were some that I saw, but most people, I didn't see a lot of that. So I think people were really ready. They had the determined look on their face, a lot of smiles, a lot of thank yous, and a lot, like I said, carloads of people, the whole family, folks getting their, disabled parents and family down, a lot of wheelchairs, walkers, canes, these folks coming in and voting. And so, yeah, yeah, it is. It is. Thank you, Lady Kara. And it is difficult when you're not used to seeing questions. The legalese of a question on a ballot can be very confusing. We covered some of this on our interview with State Rep Mitchell Horner, who talked about those in our interview and how he felt about them. In fact, one of them, he said he wasn't sure yet. This is right before the the voting started. Uh, but you want to help them and do that. And amen. I understand absolutely how hard that can be. And so you get folks that are, they're not versed in something, that are not sure, and nowadays can be a language barrier as well. So one of the things that I always say is go pull that sample ballot. You can do that in the state of Georgia very easily. You can go to the state Secretary of State's website. I just put in Georgia sample ballot, pulls that up, and it's first initial, first name, last name, birth date, and county. You'll do a drop down for county. And once it's loaded, you can pull that up, and you can print those off and fill them out and take them in. It's legal to take into the voting booth and use as a reference because some ballots are long. Um, yeah, I understand. Yeah, and I get confused on tax forms, and you can't, you've got to make up decisions. You don't want them coming back and going, you messed me up, So all you can do is give the information. But this young man, 18, for voting for the first time, he was good on everything else. He just, that's just something that he wasn't ready for. He'll get, yeah, every 4 to 8 years, yeah. So it's great. It's really great to help people, and they just have to understand. Thanks, Joe, for the like there. And you just want to educate, and we're way late into it, but there's still time for some folks that have not voted yet. Please, please, please go study those questions. There's three of them, and You just need to know how you feel about them. Sort of do a little digging. There's one about the tax court, and there's just some different things. Of course, we hear the word tax and court, but sometimes you think you're voting for something, you're really voting against it to say yeah or nay, yes or no or whatever. So I hope he enjoyed the process. He seemed like he did. I asked one voter, they had got to the scanner, if it was their first time voting, and they said yes, this is the very first time. So we gave them a clap and a cheer. I remember what it was like for my first time when I was 18, way back when. And, you know, uh, the folks that's been doing that a long time, they just love to see that because people come in and, you know, they're used to seeing so much of the older folks, and because that's who mainly turns out. So, yeah, how to vote for nonpartisan appointments. There's like I said, voter education is one of those things. I try to do that without, I don't tell anybody how to vote, but when people come to me, and I work, with people that know that I do that, they will sometimes come by and ask me. And some of them have voted for years, but it's really easy to get a little bit confused. And if I were to say what's the two or three things that most people get confused about, number one, bar none, is the confusion of precinct. Because if you early vote, you may or may not be at your precinct. There's only two locations in my county. Some may have more throughout Georgia, but if it just so happens that your precinct, then no problem because not a problem. But a lot of people will go early vote in one election. The very next election, maybe a primary. The next election, they vote on election day. They go to the wrong precinct, and they're trying to, they're confused. Like, well, I voted here before. Well, yeah, you did, but it was early voting. Or on election day, they got to send them to their precinct, and that's number one. Number two is they didn't look at their ballot beforehand, and they think they're going to be able to vote for somebody that's not on their ballot. That is, a lot of people get angry about that. The first one is more like, it's like frustration, like, I got to go. No, hey, you know what? I did it once. And I was like, wait a minute. I felt silly too. So I get that, so yeah, it does make you like, if I did that, but they get angry if they think they're not, they can't vote on, say, someone that's a commissioner or something that's not in their district, or it's just not on their ballot, because sometimes those days can cut across a county, and they have a different senator or something like that. They get really angry about that. Of course, the sample ballots are hanging on the wall or somewhere right there where they can view them. And a lot of times they don't even know which one they're supposed to be looking at, so you have to help them with that. And they get angry about that. Another one where people feel silly is, it happened a lot today, I've done it too, is for Georgia, since you are voting on a Dominion voting machine and you're taking your voter access card and you're putting it in what they call the BMD, the ballot marking device. You get busy looking at your ballot, which you should, but you'll leave your card in the machine. And it was so busy today, I was trying to catch people, and we all were, trying to help with that. But as they would get over there, would say, "Where's your voter card?" And they would say, "Oh, I left it there." And they'd say that. I feel so silly. It's like, well, it happens a lot. And so yeah, that's another one that, it's not a big thing, but it's like you got to turn that back in. Um, and I would say there's still people that are confused about ballot marking devices. They think that is actually voting. That's just marking a ballot and printing it. That's not voting. And it can be frustrating. And we have, those cards are counted. We have to keep up with those. I mean, they're counted before we ever start, open the precinct up to make sure those are kept clean throughout the day. And at the end of the night, those have to match. So we have to, gather those back up. And once you've pulled that ballot up and done all that, it's no good, just reload it for somebody else. So that's I think more and more people are getting used to it. But I did see a guy today. He said, once you review your ballot, and before you put it in the scanner, because that's the last time you're going to have a time to review that ballot before you vote. He said, well, what did I just do over here? He thought he voted, And I was, no, sir, that's just a marking device, ballot marking device. He said, oh, so they got that. This is interesting in North Carolina, which is another one of those, like Georgia. It's another one of those states where it's really a toss up right now. We fill out our ballots by hand and feed them in the machine till it beeps. Interesting. Do you know the name of? There can be different machines. I mean, the ES&S, there's Dominion, there's different ones. I'm not familiar with that one, but that's interesting. And North Carolina, God bless North Carolina too. I'm trying to get all this done with all the mess that's happening in Western North Carolina. Bless their hearts. And for those election workers, I can imagine what it is and trying to get people, absentee ballots, and then there'll probably be a lot of provisionals put in. Um, yeah, you can't take the picture, you can't pull your phone out. But what you can do is get away from the building and do a video. I did that. Not today, but when I voted, I did that. Yes, they do need our help a lot. Cannot let that die down. This is going to be ongoing help for a long time. And it's just sad to say that we still don't know a true death total. And there's a lot of people that ain't going to be able to obviously vote because they're not here anymore. And just such utter devastation. Prayers go out, and there's a lot of help coming from all over the United States, especially these southern states, to that area. But you are absolutely correct, and we need to continue to make sure we're praying for them. Another thing that people get, and I get it because it's kind of like you voted. They think that once it scans, they'll get to keep it for a souvenir. It's like, well, I'll get it back right because I want to take it home, and that's a weird feeling for some people because when they put the ballot in, I mean, they hear the click and it changes the number, and it's you've voted, but they're looking for a receipt or they're looking for something that's a printout or something that they can take home and show people. You get your well, I voted Georgia sticker, but you don't get that, and some people, I guess, are just used to getting receipts. They want a receipt to take and show people that they voted. So um, let's see here. I'm pretty sure that has, yeah, yes, yeah, no receipt either. It's a sticker, but people see it. I voted. Everybody takes that. I've had people not want it. I don't know why, but really, 99% of the people, and today it was 100. I didn't know of anybody that refused the sticker. And this election, there's a difference. There's no matter how people are voting, because we don't have a clue how they're voting. That's none of our business. But I just you could just sense it. You could see it at people's faces. There's very much a determination, a determined look. I guess I'll put it that way. A determined look. They were friendly. There was a couple that were a little bit in bad moods, but I don't think it had anything to do with voting. But there were people that had most people, a very determined look. We're going to get in here and we're going to get our vote in. And some people were, they didn't feel good. It was really hard to get in and out of their vehicles due to their disabilities. And of course, we bring them to the front of the line. We give them chairs. We do everything we can. But these folks are, they're dedicated, and I will say, even in the young people, they were people. They were really paying attention. There's no goofing off, no silliness. They were definitely paying attention and were ready. I mean, they were locked in. I mean, I've never seen that before. Like I said, this is the first day that I've worked early voting in my county, and those are just things that I noticed because I was really trying to take. Um, yeah, it is. You're very much right. Odd vibe, motivated but reserved. Yeah, there's no rah rah. It's let's get it done and then see. And like I said, I don't know if you heard me in the very beginning of the program, over 50% in my county have already voted. That is amazing. Of course, we still got a long ways to go. This honestly, we've got to get up there above the numbers that we've seen before for a presidential election. It's vitally important. And I would say that ran from anywhere from, according to election officials that I've talked to and interviewed on the program, anywhere from 68 to 73, 75%. We need to just blow that out of the water. And I think we got a real good shot of doing that. I really do in Georgia. And I hope it's that way across the United States. I just hope. I will say I was saddened today to see the video out of Pennsylvania. I don't know, and I saw multiple videos, so it's not made up that there were some precincts where it was going really slow. There were people in line that were told they'd already closed the line down, put an officer there, and said, you won't be able to vote today. It's one guy said it's a grueling and long day or long time in there or something. I don't know about that. That's a different state, but they said they had actually closed one place down where nobody else could get in line at 1:45. That's crazy. They need to look into that. Of course, they still time those people can come back. But first of all, I'd want to know: do we need more people? Do we need more? What's going on? But you should be able, if you're in line before polls officially close, you should be able to stay there no matter how long. That's just the way it goes. I'd say judges are going to look into that. So that's one county out of a whole state. It's not statewide, but I just could not believe what I was seeing. And again, it's a different state. I'll let them handle that. We've had record early turnouts in North Carolina. It's awesome to see people being so motivated to do what they can to make their choice heard. That is awesome to hear. They know the importance. Again, there's 7 to 8 toss-up states. They could be trending either way, but they consider them toss-ups: North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, I think, if I didn't say that. But yeah, all those states are very, very close and tight, and maybe even a Minnesota. So, but there's a lot of that going on. And now maybe even New Hampshire is coming into view on that. So it's very tight. People understand the power of their vote. I just saw so many different things today that I just don't normally see. That determined look, very much, patriotic, glad you'll be a voter, all ages, families, young people, different demographics. I just loved it. It was amazing to see, and I've worked several early voting, and I've never seen some of what I saw today. Maybe one or two examples. This was all day since when I got there. It continued to be that way, and all the way till we were closing the polls. We had the two that got there right as we were fixing to close the polls for the day, and they were able to get in. So there was nobody at my precinct for early voting that would have to come back. They all made it, unless they drove up afterwards. They all got in, and yeah, they should look into that. You got to have access. You have to, and open more precincts if you need to for early voting. Waiting for 2 or 3 hours. If you close it at 1:45, are you kidding me? Like you're saying, you can't fit nobody else in. They need to do something quick. That's not good. Open you up some more precincts or something. Judges can do some things on that. They have the power to do that, and I would hope that they would look into it and make it happen. We just can't. We got to make sure people have that opportunity to vote. So it's exciting. I'll be opening the poll on Thursday, helping to open the poll and working until 1 o'clock. So we'll look at that on that view and see how it goes again. Then of course election day, I'm working all day from way early in the morning until late at night. So we're going to come live on the air. Rob, my co-host, will probably be on before I get home. He's going to go ahead and start. We're going to cover election coverage from around the nation, not just presidential. Be looking at some of those races, Senate races and stuff that are so vitally important around the nation. We'll get as much info and talk about as we can. And I'm hoping we have people that will come up and talk about their experience. So, yeah, well, that's good to do. Absolutely. Keep an eye out. And yeah, the one good thing about it, if you're right next door, hopefully you got a lot of police presence there, so. I was just glad to see that. When I voted, there were actually 2 officers in the precinct, state patrol and county. But today I just saw county. But we had, I think, at least 3 officers come in as they were getting off duty for the day on their way home. Had family in tow, and they were voting as well. So yeah, the one good thing, and I like the early voting site that we're at. There's a school one side, a church on the other. There's plenty of parking. There's plenty of places to park, and it's a good site. The other place has pretty good parking, not as much. because it's more in the city, not as much as we have, but they do have quite a bit. So, but busy, and that's great to see. Georgians are getting out and voting, and I hope they will sustain this. You know, people people have got to take it. It's, my MAGA minutes I do daily tomorrow's will be about that. Is sustaining the energy of voting in high numbers. Don't skip those off year elections. You're voting more on city county things. There were some school board things on this one, but sometimes in those off years, people just skip it. It's like they don't. It's not a biggie. Yeah, flow is everything, and that's in traffic or in getting people through a precinct. Um, it's amazing. I'm a student of human nature, and I'm not an expert at anything, but I do like to watch those things. And I'm a shy person by nature. When you walk into a place, it's amazing to me what you have signs and you have flow, but you really still have to have that personal touch of helping people. So many people will come in, and I don't know. I'm sure if somebody that knows a little more has more, spent their life studying human emotion and brains and whatever else. It's amazing to me people that will come in and turn the wrong way, and even though everything points to a certain direction, they will turn the wrong way. So it's amazing. It seems like everything's closed off to one side, and they will still try to do that. I think they just see somebody, they're a little nervous about coming in, so they just gravitate to them. But I did notice a lot of that today, a lot of redirection. We got really busy working through breaks and things, and so sometimes you were almost doing a little bit of double duty. We had plenty of help, but sometimes you need even more than they have, and people turn the wrong way. And we get them where they need to go, but uh, they get confused, and I think some of them it's been a while. That was the other thing I guess I would notice that some of them, uh, for their age, you would think that they had done it a few times. I could tell because they never even put a card, the voter access card, into a BMD. I could tell that just by the way they were studying the card and weren't quite sure, and we were there to help them along. But you could tell they'd never done that before. So I'm sure a lot of people that have this is an election they voted in. They've probably not voted in a heck of a long time, and a lot of first time voters, even no matter the age. I mean, up in the 30s, 40s, 50s, maybe. By the way, there was through our precinct. I was told this. I wasn't there when it happened. This is amazing, absolutely amazing. A 92-year-old woman came in to vote. It was her first time to vote ever. 92 years old. That's amazing. God bless her. You know what? She gets it. Finally, I think she spent all those years never voting. And at 92, I'd tell anybody they can get off their rear ends and get down to a precinct and vote because nobody has that. 92? I mean, come on. Bless her heart. I wish I'd have been there. She needs to be on a commercial, a promo or something. I would love to interview her. I don't have a name or anything. I'd love to talk to this lady, and think about all the elections that she's passed by. I'm just curious about that. But I don't know if she was ever registered. I don't know that, but I do know that it was the first time she had ever voted. They said they gave her a big cheer in the precinct. I think that had happened either today or yesterday. And you just amazed at it. I just can't believe it. Honestly, you would think, we come from there where people really do, pretty much turn out and vote, especially the folks that have been, around this earth for a long time. And I have just never thought it definitely was a Kodak moment. I wish that, hopefully somebody will get the word out, and maybe the local press would do that. I'd love to do it the podcast, but I just hope they can find her. That would be a lesson for the nation. This is so important that a 92-year-old lady has never voted. She's making sure her vote counts. I bet she's a hoot. I just got this feeling that she's a hoot, and I'd love to hear her comments about the election. I just think that's cool. That was my best thing of today that I noticed. And like I said, I was really tired. I was amazed. I mean, I worked part of the day at my job, and then I went there. I was amazed at how tired I was. I mean, I'm not that old, but I'm getting older, and I come in looking for little biofreeze for the knees and stuff. We were really hopping. It was great, but plenty of help, plenty of machines. Nobody ever had to wait to mark the devices or mark on the devices, and there very little wait time, if ever, at the scanners because there's two, but at the most it was a few seconds. They were they were just flowing through, and they came in such a way that you talked about the flow. They had a we had a good flow going on. But a lot of that was just the way they came in. We got really busy after 3 o'clock. We really got hammered for about an hour and a half. I mean, it was really steady, and then all of a sudden after three, boy, they just filled up the parking lot. And here they come. But yeah, I think so. Oh, I love it. I wish my partner was here tonight. He does a little Forrest Gump voice, and he would definitely cover that. I had also talked to again a poll worker who this was she knew the manager. They had worked together at school, and this was the first time she's ever been a poll worker. This is her third day, and I thought, wow, I can imagine to come in on this election being the first time. I'm glad I had some seasoning through some special elections and stuff that gave me a chance to kind of get my feet grounded into it. And she said, she goes, I don't know how you have time as busy as we've been. I don't know how because we wipe all the cards down for sanitation and all the stylist. I'm trying to think of the stylist and the voter access. We wipe all that down, and the screens and everything. And she said, I didn't think we was going to have time to do that. We were so busy. She said the first day that I worked. But it's great to see people coming out and taking part in the process as being a poll worker. It's great to see the police presence. It's great to see the voter, obviously. I just think this one's, you can just almost, I was reading in Revelation tonight, I do the morning devotion and Revelations chapter 8, and that verse 1 where there's that a half hour space where there's just silence, throughout heaven. It's, something big's fixing to happen as they roll out the different judgments. And I just feel like our nation is we're just sitting on this moment where we're not sure what's going to happen, but we expect something to happen. And it's not just because people are saying it. It's not just because the talking heads or whatever are predicting it or anything. I think people feel it, and they feel it either way. If whichever candidate wins, there's different feelings about that, and I'd say we're determined to vote, and then once we voted, there's a little bit of unease about what's fixing to happen, and I get that because I think that most people are concerned of what's going to happen. Now, people have ideas about what that would look like depending on which one gets in, but if we listen to the candidates and we listen to the campaigns rather, and a lot of people who are speaking out right now, they're almost laying the groundwork for it because of some of the stuff, the rhetoric that they have said in the name calling is a yeah. Amen to that. I'm looking forward to hearing that, and I was thinking about that. There in Thessalonians, I'm ready for the trump of God. Absolutely, pray without ceasing. Yes, and but I do pray for the nation, and I hope nothing like that happens. I just hope that we as Christians we just got to we got to be a good citizen of not only the United States but a citizen of heaven. And sure we get frustrated. Sure we get down in the dumps. We can think, wow, I can't believe this is going on, or this person won, or anything like that. But just got to trust God. He's got a master plan, and He didn't consult with us on it. So we just do our duty and do what we can do and pray. And it's vital that we do both. So I believe in putting feet on your prayers. Go vote. That's being a good citizen. Go vote. And then be praying about your selections. Pray about the nation and the safety of it, and just pray that God will work on hearts that we won't see that kind of thing. I think Americans are a little sick of that anyway. For the majority of Americans, we're just sick of that. We're sick of seeing cities burn. We're sick of this breakdown in law and order, and that I think that's another thing that's driving a lot of people out is they're a little concerned about what's next in our nation. And we've seen some things, but I just hope that the masses will be more in tune with that, and and I want to see faith leaders and whoever else get out and moms and dads go down and drink a kid out of line and say, what are you doing? We don't do this, and get those kids back home and teach them some respect for nation. Where I'm gonna tell you, I don't care how old, my kids would never do it. I don't care how old my kids are. If I saw them in a line throwing rocks or trying to throw a Molotov cocktail or something, they'd be hurting. I'll tell you that. I'd be going down. They wouldn't have to worry about the police taking care of it. I'd be down there. They'd be by the collar. But because I know them, they would never be involved with that. We just need our young people to realize that violence is never the key. Protest, yes, but you cannot tear your nation down. That's ridiculous. So, yes, I love it. I like that. You put whoopings. That's what we say, right? Thank my mama for her prayers. We do a show. I don't know if you've have seen our shows before. We do one on Monday night called Mama Said, and we do a lot with things about what Mama said, and that's always fun. Yes, the country is ready to speak in unison, or most of it. I think, yeah. But yeah, we're talking about North Carolina, Georgia. We're living the Bible Belt. Uh, I think people. I mean, you don't have to tell them; they know. I mean, there has been a couple of cases, and one of them documented. I heard about another one. I'm not sure. I'm not sure on it where, and it has happened. I don't know what happened. It was one time, one machine who changed their selections over. They take those machines out of service and fix them. If they can't, they stay out of service. They redo the ballot, cancel that one, get another one, and get that. So it's important to review your ballot. But I did note the reason I bring that up is when I was telling people and others there, be sure to review your ballot. They said, "Oh," one lady said, "Oh, you don't have to worry. I already have because I've been watching the news and I've seen what's happened." So we would tell them that anyway. It's not because of that, but certainly because there were that, and in fact, it was the county over from us, the first one I heard about, where they had one. I don't know if it's proper way to say it, but rogue machines who didn't do it right. And I didn't hear a lot of it because people realize election workers can't say anything or comment. But one guy he did say, I don't like the machines. I just want to be able to write it down. He didn't have a problem with the scanner. He just said, I want to be able to write it on the paper. He was noticing, and that was another thing in Georgia, is the watermark that's in the paper. If you hold it up in the light, you can see that watermark. So the paper has changed. And he looked at that. He raised it up and looked at it. But he said, "Oh, well, thank you for being a first-time viewer. God bless you. We've been around since Memorial Day. We are growing every day. We do 20-something shows a week, and most of those are live. We have morning devotions, we're getting back in our morning funnies, MAGA Minute. We have 3 morning shows a week, 3 night shows a week, weekend stuff. So, and then there's extra shows that are put in. I need to update our schedule online so people can see that. But thank you for coming in. Yeah, and we're trying to give us a like and a follow there on whatever it is on YouTube. I think you're using. We're seeing a lot of growth. That's one of the ones we're trying to grow and get YouTube up too. But we got a lot going on. There's going to be we're working hard every day to make things better and bring some quality programming. We think it is, and we like to laugh and we like to cut up, but we say that we do everything from the silly to the serious and back again, because we do. But it's family friendly, and we'll boot people out that are coming in saying things. We've just done that. It's cleaned up our chat. We just started working with mods and stuff. But thank you for being in here. Come in anytime. You're always welcome. And we do bring guests on. And Friday night we do a show called Front Porch Talking, where in the South, you understand this. We just sit on the front porch. We like to wave at people as they go by, drink a glass of sweet tea or something. And so Friday night is a kind of a free form show where we don't really always have an agenda. It's the stuff we will talk about. We'll always divert to the news of the day if something comes up. But this Friday, we have been bringing in guests in our live shows. We used to record every one of our guests. Now, unless they just request it, we'll just ask them to come into our lives. We want people, more and more people to interact with them. And most people are okay with that. We just had different kinds of sci-fi books, and they sorry, I just had a little Wi-Fi issue, but they do some great books. In fact, I ordered their one of the ones, and I'll show you real quick the ones that he was promoting, and give Three Ravens a little blessing here. I ordered the one that's on the left. That's he kind of like a title. It says it came from the trailer park. So these are some newer releases with Three Ravens. Great people, local people here in my area, and the artwork is amazing. In fact, that one that has the Elvis, I think the lady was from England, and that one is dropping. I thought it was today. It's actually 2 days from now. So I did the ebook, and I'm going to be reading that. But we've just got a partnership, sort of. I might maybe partnership's not the word, but networked with them. He has access to a lot of veterans and obviously people that write books and writers and stuff. So a lot of artsy people, and we want that. I'm hoping to expand into doing some music and stuff, some original people playing their music they wrote. So he's got access to a lot. And we're also with some folks in Chattanooga that I haven't had time to reach back out to yet, but I'm going to. So it'll be some of those folks. But anyway, I'm leading up on Friday night. He had to cancel last week because his wife went to the hospital. But we have a guy. He has a YouTube channel called Backwoods Cryptids, and he's a local guy who I met. I seen a video of his, and I met him at a festival we had here called Green Eyes. Festival's a recent first ever, and he hunts cryptids, Bigfoot kind of thing. And you don't have to believe in it or not. I like people's stories. I like to interview people and find out what they're about. And so he's going to be on with us. So, but yeah, this is interesting. I have an old voter registry from the McKinley election from the 1800s. My great grandfather was a local clerk who ended up with the names of the folks who voted primaries in the tiny township. That is amazing. That is awesome. Um, that is so cool. I don't know if it's safe to take a picture or anything of it, but feel free to send me I'd love to see that, put it on screen. Our email's scrolling across the bottom, southernfriedpodcast@yahoo.com. I'd love to see that. That's amazing. I love stuff like that. I'm a history buff, so I love history. I love um, things related to anytime you can find artifacts like that. Old Bibles are great, because a lot of your family histories was written in the Bible, and sadly that's not done so much anymore with electronics and stuff. But the old family Bible. But yes, old deeds, old voting records, transaction records, court cases, things like that. Those are fascinating. In the county next to me, which I work in, go to church in one county, and I live and work the elections in another county. But in one of the counties, they have a great. There's a newspaper, and they have it on microfilm that goes pretty far back. I know into the 1870s, I think, and some of my family's mentioned in it. I've been able to pull up some of it, and I just will scroll through, and I'd see, sometimes it was announcement of their death or other things. And so there's a write-up about one of my family members who served in the war between the states, and it's from his church. And I only was able to see part of it um, because the person who gave it to me was actually a direct descendant of this gentleman, but they didn't have the whole thing. And I was surprised they didn't go back. Maybe they, I don't know if she knew about that microfilm. I've just been meaning to go back and look it up and copy it off and have that as a copy, because apparently it was just a real good praise about his character and everything. So yeah, yes, record keeper runs in DNA. Turns out all my district president locals. Awesome, awesome. I love it. And a lot of courthouses got burned across the South during the war, and sometimes just through fires that happened later, but especially through the war. So hello, Stephen. But yeah, and that makes it difficult to do genealogy sometimes because you have a hard time finding those. What history we have is found in black and white news clippings and photos or without the captions. Yeah, that's tough. Uh, hey there, yeah, thank you for shouting out, Stephen. Uh, I've got to go back to the Bicentennial Library in Chattanooga. The day I was there, my grandfather on my mom's side, or yeah, my mom, her dad, I knew the date he died and everything. Well, I went back and found an article where I didn't know that he had died out on the street. I guess he had a heart attack checking the mail. I want to back up or go forward a day and get who that obituary. There's some names in there, and his family was from Hickman County, Tennessee, and that's one of those courthouses that was burned during the war. So some of the records are. It's hard to get names, but I would love to see who was there. And just I think it'd give me a little fuller idea of who was kind of around him and stuff, and maybe some more details about if they know what happened. But he died before I was born, 1956. So it's fun though. I'd love if I didn't work, and of course I'm busy with podcasts, but I would spend the rest of my time volunteering, ministry things. But I do a lot of genealogy. I think that is the most fascinating thing. I love to help people with it, give them, whatever I learn, I share, and then I try to learn from others, people that are really good at this. It is great to do. Some people call it digging up the bones. That's fine. I don't care. I like it, dig up bones, I like to know where we come from. So let's see here. I broke the tragedy passing my great grandfather meet my friend. The newspaper said it all and they never knew, but don't blame me or either. Yeah. Yeah. When you look back and when you look back through your family, you have to be prepared for different things. You may find there was a horse thief and somebody got hung or somebody was a criminal, but you also may find some real heart touching stories. And you may, find, I mean, one of the things I found in the microfilm was an aunt, she was obviously a great, great aunt of mine, and she was dying. And the husband and all the children, and this was written from her best friend. She was in the room that night that she died, and they had all the kids around the bed. Her husband's there, and she was there. And this was a clip. It was in the local paper, and what she said that we that she told the children. She said to mind their father, which obviously you would want them to do that. To help each other. And I love this. She said to always serve the Lord, and that was her last words. To mind their dad, love each other, help each other, and serve the Lord. And I thought that was one of the greatest. I mean, I don't know how I'm going to go out. I mean, it may be so quick. I don't have nothing to share. I try to share it all so that it's already shared. But if I get last moments where I know it's coming, it's not minutes or hours or whatever. Better believe I'd be passing things on to my grandchildren or maybe eventually great great grandchildren if I live long enough. I definitely would be wanting to pass those kinds of things on. So um, hey, you know what? You got history. I like Daddy robbed the bank. Where? Oh my goodness, that's amazing. Oh, you're great. I love, I love that. That's the great thing about doing a podcast is you get these great stories. But I'm not going to forget that one. Gosh. Oh, I can't wait to tell Rob. But final words of wisdom: never mix our whiskey with anything but water. That'd be good advice. Good wisdom there. Awesome, awesome. Are you in Western North Carolina or Central or the Eastern part? I've traveled through North Carolina a bit. My family came through Buncombe County, which is hard hit. This damage, Black Mountain area, which has been mentioned a lot. They came in obviously on my dad's side from England, mom's from Ireland, at least on one side. But we came through again Tobacco Road. That's where most people came in through. I don't know if they settled anywhere else across the state, but I know Buncombe County was very big for my last name on my dad's side. And I pulled off the interstate once, went up to Black Mountain Chamber of Commerce, and ran into a lady who had the same last name. Now she was married; she had a married name, but when she heard my name, she says, "Well, hello, cousin." So Central, yeah, Eastern North Carolina, great, beautiful, love the state. North Carolina, I love. Every state has lots of things to offer, and yeah, the Revolutionary War was the reason we came on further south was because of land lotteries in Georgia. If you served in the Revolutionary War, you got extra draws to get land, and that's exactly how the main bulk of the people that they came. We came down into Dahlonega and then across into the. Of course, they opened up the land you could get. I think it was 155 acres, and you had I think it was 5 years to make it a working farm. I mean, you could just get property. Some of those went over into Alabama, then eventually on into Texas and Oklahoma and even California. That's sort of our track across, at least some of them. Yeah, I traveled through. You get the mountainous areas, beautiful areas. It's sad. Asheville will never be the same. It was a devastation. Beautiful area. Then you have very rural areas, obviously. But I've been as far north as Eden, North Carolina. Been all around the mountains of Boone and all around in there. On over, I've been to Statesboro and Charlotte and just bunches of towns through there. I have never been all the way to the coast, so I've not done extreme eastern North Carolina. Um, but I love the state. It's I'll say this: if you're traveling across the state from east or west to east or east to west, that is such a long drive. It's like Tennessee. It's such a wide state, and 40 is not the easiest ride. It's not. It's just not, but it'll wear you out running across the state. But I like North Carolina, I really do. Yeah, um, we're all cousins around here. Well, that's a lot. That happened a lot. That happened a lot, no doubt. You know what's done is did. So yeah, I do need to try the beaches. My sister's been all the way to the oh, was it? Where did she go? The Outer Banks. The Outer Banks. And she talked about. She actually went all that way. She loves books. She's a bigger. I love to read books, but she's bigger than I am on it. She loved. She loved. She went all the way. All that way. They made it a vacation too, but she went all that way to meet an author. And they had a rough trip. They kind of got turned around, lost, not lost, lost, but getting out there to where they were at. But once she was there, she said she really enjoyed it. I doubt she'll ever go back. It was such a long ride. But that's neat that you have that. You know, 2 hours of the sandy beach. Yeah, that's cool. It is a drive. I mean, it's like when you start in eastern Tennessee and it takes so long to get to Memphis. So 8 hours or more plus the ferries. Wow, amazing, amazing. It's amazing how many ferries are still in use around the country. It used to be very common. I mean, even up until just a few years ago, there were several that crossed the Tennessee River. Those have now been replaced, but it's amazing how many ferries are still in use. Cheaper than a bridge, I guess you'd say, right? So yeah, I think that's cool. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I love the South. I mean, I try not to. We're college football fans, so we have to give our Tennessee fans and all them a hard time. I mean, they give us a hard time too. As a matter of fact, I ran into a Tennessee fan today, and he was putting his ballot in the scanner, and I said, Tennessee. And he said, yeah. I said, we've had a good year. He said, well, yeah, we just got it. Now if we just get past Georgia. Well, he didn't know I was a Georgia. I am a Georgia fan. So I kind of laughed and chuckled at it, but they are excited. But Tennessee is a beautiful state, but really all the southern states. It's truly amazing. I don't like to get below the gnat line. I give my co-host a hard time about that. It's beautiful down there, but I'm not into gnats. I'll visit, but I don't see myself ever moving down there. Um, I'm not into that. Winter. I visit in the winter. They're hibernating or dead or whatever. Of course, every place has something. Big flying bugs or whatever, but gnats are just full on. They just drive me crazy. I can't stand dealing with them. So, I try to stay out there. But we're going to something next year in down South Georgia. We just found this out about 3 or 4 months ago. They actually have a Gnat Festival, and we're going to go set up as the podcast and interview people at the Gnat Festival. We're going to be doing more of that. We're going to do some lives at some places and set up at some festivals that we can get to. If me or him can do it, or both of us, depending on what it is. We can't do it all the time. There's quite a few hours between us, but we're going to do some of that and interview people at these festivals and talk to them. I don't do bats either. I don't do no bats. We have a running joke in our family. We were staying in a cabin up in uh, Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, just outside of there, up in the hills, and it was me and my wife and kids, and then my sister and her husband were there, and my other sister was there, and my son comes running in, and it's night, and by the way, it was around Halloween, so we hear all these people down in the valley below. There's a church down there having this Halloween. We didn't know there was a church down there that was doing it, but we hear all these people hollering and doing creepy things. It's got to be a Halloween thing, but it kind of spooked the women a little bit anyway. Well, my son comes running in the house. I'm already in bed. It was pretty late, and he was hollering and said, "Daddy, Daddy." Said her name's Tammy. Said Tammy got hit by with a bat. And in my mind, because I've been hearing all this, I just went there. I totally fell into the thing. Like, somebody's out there with a bat hitting my sister. I mean, I'm ready to go. And her husband's out there. I'm like, where's he at? I said, what is he doing? And he's just standing there. He's laughing. I'm not laughing. My sister's under attack with a guy with a bat. He goes, no, 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 a bat, a flying bat. She pulled the water hose out to refill the hot tub or something. And anyway, the bat flies out of there and flew right into her chest and about pretty much freaked her out. You can imagine being at night, I squeaking bat, pretty good size too. I'm reminded of John Candy in The Great Outdoors when him and oh my goodness, Aykroyd were trying to kind of kill the bat. He goes in there and he says the bat buzzed me. It's pretty good size. I said about a 4-pounder or so. He's scared to death of the bat. I have a guy in my church. He has an out kind of a not a full barn, and he gets hundreds of them that get up in that thing. I mean, hundreds. So you have to really watch out when you're going out there because you could just be covered up with bats. So Candy was a comedic genius, and some people are very big on different kinds of comedy. I'm a big fan of physical comedy. I'm not a fan of the one-liner. Certainly not filthy language and stuff, but um, I like those that can use expressions and what I call physical comedy, where they fall down or the things they do. And the less words spoken and along with the physical comedy, to me, is the funniest thing. A look, to me, if done in the right way, is much funnier than anything anybody could say. It kills me, and I will never forget it. Carol O'Connor was really great at physical comedy, and I like that. So he was. It's just sad that he was so big, and he did have the wit. He sure did have the wit. I didn't like. There were a couple movies I didn't care about, but mostly everything he did, I was a big fan. All the way from the Blues Brothers on. I mean, what a guy! Just what a guy! What a talent! Uncle Buck. I mean, you just have to feel like just love the guy. And big sports fan. Loved his family, but was sad because he knew his time was. He wasn't going to live a long time. Because he just had trouble with that, eating, and he was, drank and just put on a lot of weight. And there at the end, he was really big, and it was a labor for him to get. Obviously, he didn't make the end of the movie. The last movie he was working on, it was very sad. But a great guy, always remembering. His movies. we will continue to watch his movies in our household because they are funny. They're dang funny, and he's a great guy. But I sure miss him. But there's a bunch of the old, Second City guys that I just love, and a lot of them are deceased now. A lot of them are gone. And there's funny comedians that have come along. I'm not one of those that thinks that there's funny in every. I go back to Jackie Gleason or anybody. They're hilarious. And so there's some today that are younger, and I think they're really, really good. But you sure don't. Yeah, take care of yourself too. Um, y'all got to take care of yourself. Yeah. I'm sorry, I thought she was leaving, but and I'll have to go in a few minutes. But um, yeah, you do got to take care of yourself. We get one shot to this life, and we've got to take care of ourselves. We do. And I have several grandchildren. I'm raising one, and it's been a blessing. She's been with us a long time, and I think about that. I think graduation day, uh, maybe she meets the right one, and either I walk her down the aisle or do the service. Um, and I want to be here for that. You know, I want it to be right. I want to rush it, or obviously not like that. But I want it. I want to be here for that. I see those stories of people that they're very sick and they're just trying to get through their daughter's wedding or something. Those are so touching, and the willpower to stay active enough and fighting enough to get through that day, and then they don't last long afterwards. But and sometimes they don't make it. I mean, that's part of it too. But um, I want to do those things. I think about I overanalyze everything anyway. And God's got a plan, but my mind just goes 90 to nothing. When I get off a podcast, a lot of times it takes me an hour or more just to get my mind kind of settled down. I get really amped up, and my mind gets to going. But one of the things I think about is one of the things I've really studied about over the last just and again, not an expert. One of the things I've really studied about or thought about and put a lot of thought into is because of doing counseling, and I'm not a professional counselor, but anybody of us, all of us can be listeners, good listeners, and listen to somebody who's struggling. And if you listen to somebody in a ministry kind of way, or just as a great friend, or somebody who will listen, one of the things you will find out that all the people that have trouble in their life, most of the problems they have come from their childhood. That just so kills me. I mean, it just drives me nuts that these precious children have a trauma, and sometimes multiple traumas that come from childhood. I don't want it at any age, but especially a child. And it angers me so much when and I've had a lot of females that have told me stuff. The guys are a little more closed. They don't like to talk about it, but they will eventually. But a lot of ladies will say this is what happened, and as a husband, as a dad, as a granddad, and just as a somebody knows right from wrong, and it just makes me angry. I think back, how in the world could you not protect your kids? Why? How could you allow this to happen, or be the reason it's happening? And along with that thought is sometimes you hear about stuff that people have trauma off of that not because anybody was trying to do anything wrong, but it was an embarrassing moment, something that in school or at kids camp or something like that. And that trauma is still with them, and they struggle with it. And I've talked to people that professionals, and they have this problem with a trauma, and they're so afraid something's going to happen again. And it's real to them. I'm not mocking it. That's just real. And so I say all that to say this: when I'm raising, my kids, I wish I'd thought about it more then, and I did think about it a little bit, I guess, but not to that level. When I was raising a granddaughter, and of course, being we had boys and she's a girl, I just trying to think about all the things and how she must look through her eyes, how things look or how things go. And I don't want her to have that moment, that I wasn't at my best. And years later, she tells me, "You really hurt my feelings." Really, I try. We're not perfect, none of us, but I don't want her to have that. I want her to have this great childhood, doing all the things she really wants to do, and live life and have fun and a lot of laughter. I'm a big believer in a lot of laughter in your life, in your home. And his son is about to graduate. Congratulations. His father passed in 2020, something that's hard. That's right. He has a plan for amen to that. And I'm sorry that, and those are, traumatic things. There's a couple of girls that have adopted me as a grandfather. Their grandfather had died several years ago, and it's an honor. It's an absolute honor. And because they don't have that, I always, and it just kills me. I say this often. People have heard me say it. If if people say, "Well, I didn't have kids," I'm like, "Okay, you didn't have kids." So they'll say, like, some things don't apply to me. I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Come on." You probably got nieces and nephews, and if you don't have nieces and nephews, I promise you, if you look around, you'll find kids that need somebody. Just be something to them. Encourage them. Be that person that when encourage them, help them along, help them through a difficult day. Be that person that takes them to their ball practice or something when you can. Cheer them on from the sidelines. Be there for the big milestone events and cheer for them as they graduated from elementary to middle to high, or what in high school. Be there when they're on the field performing, and and congratulate them. And how what a difference we could make if everybody just and there's I mean, millions do that, yes, but there's a lot of people that don't. And I know that for a fact because if you talk to court, um, people that are connected to the court, they'll tell you they're running out of people to put kids with. And people don't want to step up, they don't want to get involved. Some people, and so you have some people doing a lot of the work, and then a lot of people don't want to do anything with it. And I just don't get that. Maybe I'm just geared different, but and you can't do it all. Nobody can do it all, but you can do something. And something is something. However little it is, God can use it. What is the old saying? Little is something, God is in it. I think that's a song too. But little is much. That's what it is. Little is much if God is in it, and just give it to the Lord. So yeah, I don't want to be a hindrance to them. I don't want them to make so. Yeah, I know it's hard to release the controls. You know, it's hard to it's hard to let them do that, but you have to. You have to let them figure some things out. You just give advice, and they got to find their way. See more. Yeah, that's true. Yes, generations by community and family individualism. A move happened a number. Yeah, that's a great saying, and I've heard it a lot, and it does. Uh, a few years ago, this happened. It happened also across, and it happened maybe across the world, but it definitely happened in America, and it happened across all demographics and all faiths. No faith. I don't care if he was Orthodox Jewish or secular, whatever, or Baptist, Methodist, Catholic. Doesn't matter. It's happened all across. And there's been a move of the younger people today to go back, call it just it was there, planted in them, passed down, and they're going back to it to a degree. Maybe not. Sometimes as we might say orthodox. I mean, really back in. And some people say, "Oh, it's nostalgia." They remember their grandparents talking about these things. But no, there's a lot of young people that have very much gotten back in the idea of community, and coming together. And part of that is having some sort of faith. And everybody's got or most people have some kind of faith. They have a belief in something, and so they're going back to that where others had rebelled against it and didn't want anything to do with it. They felt like it was a chain on their life. These young people, many of them in the droves, have now said, no, that's important. I need that in my life, and they went back to it. So, or going back to it, making steps to go back to it. But I've read that a few times, and I think that's great. It was great to see the young people today, and I really hope that those folks, uh, you know, I, some of them may not have even had a good influence on that. They just decided, I'm a citizen, I want to vote, and I'm going to do that. Some are still students. I mean, they're still in school, but they've turned 18, and they talked about how students came through. So I hope that's a change. I hope we are getting back. There's a big move to sign up a lot of young people over the last couple, 2 or 3 elections, but I think there was a big drop off because it was sort of hey, it was a something to do at the moment. Yes, we're part of movement, but movements can. Yeah, it takes a lot to keep a movement going. It takes a lot to keep a habit. You have to. That's why it's a habit. You do it, and people get out of the habit and they just get lazy with it. And you have to have dedication to something. You have to be deep down inside. Yes, putting in the work, and it's work to be married. It's work to raise kids. It's no place for sissies and raising kids. No place. You can't defer out. You can't call a friend and turn it over to them. You can get advice, but you got to do it. I've said more than once to people, be a dad. It's time to man up. And I love one of the things I love to ask young fathers that I see that are still. Not saying I wasn't. I had my immature moments as well, certainly. But I had a lot of great advice, people around me that had invested in me. But I'd love to find these young men that are very immature. They got two or three kids. I mean, they're just not really. They're not bad dads, but they're missing the mark, and they're young and they're blowing this young these years. They're young kids, and that their kids are like sponges, at that time, and you want them to get all that information that you can. And so I ask them. This is the question I ask them. I'll say, what is the most important thing you're supposed to be doing as a father? And I won't help them. And you get different answers, and some of them will say, "Well, make sure they got a roof over their head and food in the belly." Okay, that's good. It's not number one. And they'll look at you like, "What?" And I'll say, it's a very important. Absolutely, you got to take care of them. But what's number one? They say, defend them. If somebody breaks in the home, I got to defend them. Well, yeah, that's very high on the list. Still not number one. And they don't get it. And I'll say your number one responsibility is to teach them about God. That's number one. We've been blessed to have kids. God's given them to us. We got to tell them about. We got to give them that faith that's going to carry them on, because we're not going to be there forever. And we know He will. And they it hits them pretty hard. And I'll say, listen, you're doing some good things. I always brag on them. You're doing some good things, but you're missing the mark here. And they say, well, actually, and most times, excuse me, most times they'll say, I've thought about it lately. So it's no coincidence that we had that conversation. So they ran across my path, and the last guy that I told that to, I don't even see him anymore. But I know that I had an impact on his life, and I hope that it made a change for him. Because you got to grow up and put away childish things. And that doesn't mean we can't have fun, and it don't mean we can't act like kids sometimes. I do. I love to be. My wife says, "You're goofy." I say, I am. I'll tell you this. I carry 5 kids to school every morning. It started out with just carrying my granddaughter, and then others joined in trying to help a neighbor, and they've adopted me. And most days I take them, and now there's a couple of more, brother, sister, and 2 are in elementary, 2 are in middle school. And I have a couple other grandchildren, but they don't. They do homeschool online. So I don't take them obviously anymore. I have, but they were in a different county. I didn't always get to take them, but I had taken them to school before. Anyway, I've taken these kids to school, and every day, the kids are like, oh man, I'll be glad when this day's over. I got to go to school. And so I look for things to kind of get their minds working, have some fun. So we were headed to the school. It's just been last week, I think it was. And my granddaughter knows me. I mean, she's with me all the time. So I was going along. I don't even know none of the songs he does, but I was thinking, my thought was I wanted to hear them say a song that this person sang. And I was going to tell them when they got out of the van to sing it to the person on the door, which they wouldn't have done that because they were like, no, we're not doing that. That's cringe, or something like that. But in their minds, my granddaughter especially, she thought that I meant that I wanted to know the song so I could sing it as we pulled up. So I just chose somebody I know that would really get them fired up. So I said, what? Can any of y'all tell me a Justin Bieber song? And before they could even answer, my granddaughter goes, "Don't answer that question. No, don't answer it. Papa's going to try to sing a song. We don't want that." I mean, she was like taking charge. She looks back, looks everybody in the face like, "Don't answer him. Don't give him nothing. Papa, we're not falling for it." And I said, "I wasn't going to sing the song. I don't even know his songs." Although if I did, it would be funny to try just to give them a hard time. But I I'm one of those. I would never intentionally embarrass kids, but if they act up, I tell them, no, look, you got to behave at school. And my granddaughter's always had excellent behavior. I'll say, if you don't behave, I'll have to come down to school and I'll just wear my pajamas and come down there and I'll check you out of school. And we'll have a talk with the principal. They, oh no, you never do that. Sure. When you get older, your filters come off anyway, and you just you don't care. It's like, what, what are they going to say? um, so I heard a guy, saying that the other day. He said, "I'm 83 and I don't care." He's a good guy, but he said, "I don't care. What are you going to do? I'm 83." Oh my goodness, sorry. A little bit of, I think my allergies are kicking in a little bit. I'd probably be in a room with a bunch of voters. I'm telling you know. I saw a guy today. It kills me. Oh, we always sanitize the stylist and the cards and everything. I've never seen this before. I'm sure he didn't even think about it. He had a stylist in his mouth. I think he just put it there to hold it while he was getting all this stuff together. And I said, well, I know it's a good thing we cleaned the stylist. And I told the ladies that were doing it, I said, well, one guy just came through. He had it in his mouth. And they're like, oh, man, no. Oh, that's why we do that. But yeah, give the kids something. You know, I like to keep. I mean, I believe in consistency. I want my granddaughter to know me to the point that she knows. She can come to me. She knows I'll help her and all that stuff. But also as a grandfather, you got to have that grandfatherly little bit of goofiness. You have to. My grandfather on my dad's side was a big cut up. My dad was a big cut up, a little more serious than his dad, which that's usually the way it goes. Because I'm sure he was that way with them when they were little. So I'm the grandson, and he died when I was 5. He's really a hoot. I mean, he cracked me up. He loved pro wrestling, and we just had a lot of fun with him. And I yeah, I want to be that. So every once in a while, just do something unexpected, and my granddaughter will just die laughing, like, I can't believe you're doing that. And I say, you'll never forget it. You'll remember this the rest of your life. And we have to, again, it goes back to laughter. The scriptures say, laughter doeth good like a medicine. It's one of my favorite places in the scripture. We need laughter in our life. We cannot lose our, I'm not talking about laughing at somebody, but just having laughter. I think it's important. And it gets us through these difficult days that we're talking about right now. We're talking about, all the things in the world, Middle East blowing up, war between superpowers and our border wide open, and just all the things we talk about. You got to have laughter. You got to pray. You got to have faith. You got to be involved as a citizen. Don't forget your laughter. Know how to have some fun and laugh at. I laugh at myself. It's just I love to laugh. We do this on the podcast a lot. We do laugh, and some of the best shows is when we just sort of lose it and we can't contain the laughter. And people are probably laughing at us, and that's great. I love it. You give us, laugh at us, if nothing else. If we can make you laugh, we've succeeded. But we do like to cover the serious things as well. So hey, it's been great talking to y'all. This is our Southern Talk. I'll be probably back on Southern Talk Thursday night. We're going to do a live Halloween show. I'm hoping to set up on the front porch, not our front porch show, but I'll be on the front porch. I'm going to talk to some of the kiddos coming by, see if I can get them on camera. My partner will be on from South Georgia. That's the plan. So we're going to see how that goes. And I may even have a mask on. And yeah, my granddaughter thought it was a great idea. I actually have it hanging here, and we'll see a little ghost with a smile. He's smiling though. I like the smile. I'm a happy guy. So Thank you. It's been a great conversation with you too. Please come back if you have time. I know life is busy, but if you'll do a subscribe there or whatever to give you notifications when we're going live. And you can go to, if you got Facebook, go to our, we have a Facebook page obviously, but we also have one called Cornbread Nation. We like our cornbread on the Southern Fried Podcast. And if you go there and join, we'll officially call you a breadhead. And you can also find links to our store and stuff. Not telling you to go buy, I'm just saying it's there. But you're going to be seeing much more about the Cornbread Nation. We're hoping in the future to have coffee in some of our brands that we're pushing forth. And we think it'll be good. Mama said and stuff like that. But yeah, y'all have a great night. I still didn't get to, we're going to talk about Kentucky. We're going to talk about some things there in Kentucky, but that'll be a little later in the week. We'll talk about that in the morning. Bright and early, 6 a.m. We'll be on with the morning show. Rob will be back. It's our Hump Day show. Also, MAGA Minute, my morning devotion, and Morning Funny will be coming out. Tomorrow night is our Hump Day news at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it's always a little crazy. We have weird news that we talk about. It gets a little sideways sometimes, but that's fun. Those are the next two lives that we're doing for sure, Lord willing. And we'll see you then. Y'all have a great night. Take care. Go vote if you haven't voted. Encourage us to vote. And let's pray for our nation. Take care. God bless.